for Calgary Klein has the call.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. A couple weeks ago, a poll in the United States showed the majority of Americans, 71% to be precise, would favor President Biden giving an executive order to restart construction of the Keystone XL pipeline. To the Minister of Energy, can you tell the House about the steps being taken by our government to try and convince the U.S. Lawmakers to change their minds and reissue the border crossing for Keystone XL?
The Honourable the Minister of Energy.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. The reality is that in the United States, as well as the rest of the world, it's a growing acknowledgement that the world is going to continue to use oil and gas. In fact, demand for oil and gas is going up as supply. At the same time, supply is going down with the need to weed out Russian barrels. The question is, where is it going to come from? Is it going to come from us, from North America, or is it going to come from regimes like Saudi Arabia, Venezuela, Russia? Mr. Speaker, we believe it should come from us. That's why we're engaging with the United States. That's why we've launched an advocacy campaign. That's why we're bringing...
The Honourable Member for Calgary Klein.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to the Minister for efforts. Given that European countries also are shying away from Russian corrupt oil, it also makes a case for an Energy East pipeline. To the same Minister, can you update the House on any efforts to challenge federal legislatures that landlock our ethical oil here?
The Honourable the Minister of Energy.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. The tragic thing is that the Energy East pipeline, if it had been built, would have been delivering 1 million barrels a day of Alberta oil to the East Coast to serve markets in Europe and refineries in India, had it been built. But it was killed by regulatory dysfunction in 2017. Alberta can be part of the solution to supply additional barrels across the world if we could get infrastructure built. But, Mr. Speaker, that's why we are challenging Bill C-69, C-48, and that's why we are going to continue to challenge the NDP Liberal Alliance unconstitutional effort to cap...
The Honourable Member for Calgary Klein.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to the Minister. Given that we want to see pipelines going east, west, north, and south, and given that we know when it comes to human rights and environmental standards for our energy, we are unmatched. Federal government aside, our resources get attacked internationally. To the same Minister, can you tell us about our government's recent efforts to remind the world why Alberta is a better source for our world's energy needs compared to, say, Venezuela, Saudi Arabia, or Russia, just to name a few?
The Minister of Energy.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. There's no question that the world needs more energy, and that energy should come from places like Alberta. That's why we've launched campaigns, an advocacy campaign across North America and U.S. markets to say, look north. Look north for energy security, and to emphasize that not all oil is equal, that ours is produced at the highest environmental standard. That's why the MLAs on this side of the legislature will continue to point out the insanity of the NDP Liberal Coalition production cap, which is actually a production cap, even though it's charading as an emission cap.